The Undersea Treasure Hunt. Once upon a time, in the warm waters of the Great Barrier Reef, lived a little clownfish named Finny. Now, Finny wasn't any ordinary clownfish. Oh no. He had a wild imagination and a heart full of adventure. He dreamed of exploring sunken ships, caves filled with jewels, and even the mysterious shipwreck rumored to hold a king's lost treasure. Every day, Finny would listen wide-eyed to the old sea turtles, telling tales of faraway places and fantastical creatures. He yearned to see the world beyond the reef and discover wonders of his own. One day, while exploring the vibrant coral heads near his home, Finny stumbled upon a peculiar sight. A tattered treasure map made of seaweed was tucked under a rock. Its edges were nibbled by a hungry crab, and the markings were fading with age. But as Finny smoothed out the wrinkles, he could make out the faded images of a fish, a turtle, and a starfish pointing towards different directions. It was a map to buried treasure. Excitement bubbled inside him like a fizzy drink. Could this really lead to lost treasure? He knew he couldn't start such a big adventure without telling his best friend, Shelley, the seahorse. Shelley, unlike Finny, was a creature of habit. She liked her cozy home inside a sea anemone and her daily routine of munching on plankton and playing hide-and-seek with the shrimp. When Finny told her about the treasure map, she was skeptical. "Oh, Finny, treasure maps are just pretend," she said, shaking her head. "There's no such thing as buried treasure." But Finny wouldn't give up. "But what if it's real, Shelley? Just think of the adventures we'd have. We could sail past the singing sponges and the dancing sea fans and discover places no other fish has ever seen." Shelley couldn't help but get a little excited. The thought of seeing something no fish had ever seen before was tempting. Plus, she knew arguing with Finny was like trying to steer a current. So she sighed and agreed to go on the adventure together. The first clue on the map showed a fish pointing towards the whispering kelp forest, a place known for its tall, swaying seaweed that made strange noises when the current shifted. "This way, Shelley," said Finny, following the map. As they swam into the forest, the seaweed swayed around them, making eerie whispering sounds. Sunlight streamed through the tall fronds, creating dancing patterns on the sandy bottom. Some kelp stalks were taller than Finny's whole family stacked on top of each other. Finny felt a little scared, but he hid it well, pretending to be braver than he felt.
"Don't worry, Shelley," he said with a smile.
"It might be a little creepy, but it's all part of the adventure." As they swam deeper into the forest, they saw strange shapes and shadows everywhere. Tiny crabs scuttled sideways, and a pair of luminous jellyfish floated past, leaving a trail of sparkling light. The whispering of the kelp grew louder, and suddenly a giant moray eel poked its head out from a crevice. "Beware, little ones," the eel hissed. "The path ahead is fraught with danger. Only those who are brave and clever can pass." Finny and Shelley looked at each other nervously. This adventure was starting to feel more dangerous than they expected. Then Finny remembered the old turtle stories of a magical seashell that could grant wishes. Maybe this shell could help them, he thought. Taking a deep breath, Finny stepped forward. "Please, Mr. Eel, can you help us? We need to find a magic wishing shell to help us on our quest." The eel watched them curiously. "A magic wishing shell? Well, I do know of one, but it's guarded by a grumpy pufferfish in the Cave of Lost Things. Are you sure you want to go there?" Finny and Shelley looked at each other. The Cave of Lost Things sounded like a scary place, but they had come too far to give up now. Besides, if the eel knew about a magic shell, it must be worth the risk. "Yes," said Finny bravely. "We'll go to the Cave of Lost Things." The eel slithered back into his crevice, leaving them alone in the whispering kelp forest. Following the map, they swam to a dark opening between two rocks. Sunlight barely reached the entrance, and strange shapes loomed inside. As they swam into the cave, Finny could hear strange clicks and whirs echoing in the darkness. He turned to Shelley, his eyes wide. "What's that sound, Shelley?" "It sounds like machines from another world." Shelley shook her head, equally puzzled. "I don't know, Finny, but let's keep moving. The sooner we find this shell, the sooner we can leave this creepy place." Inside the cave, all sorts of weird things caught their eyes. A bicycle with seaweed growing from its basket, a gramophone with barnacles on its horn, and a car with a family of seahorses living in its engine. Finally, they spotted a grumpy-looking pufferfish guarding a small pink shell. "Excuse me," said Finny politely. "Could you please tell us where we can find a magic wishing shell?" The pufferfish glared at them. "Magic wishing shell? You want a magic wishing shell? Ha! There's only one, and it's not for the likes of you." Finny and Shelley exchanged worried glances. How could they convince the pufferfish to help them? Then Finny had an idea. He swam closer to the pufferfish and asked, "Say, are you the grumpiest pufferfish in the whole ocean?" The pufferfish puffed up proudly. "Well, I surely am. Why do you ask?" "Because I know a secret," said Finny, leaning closer. "A secret that will make you even more grumpy." The pufferfish leaned in, intrigued, and Finny whispered, "You have seaweed stuck on your back fin." The pufferfish looked down, and sure enough, there was a whole forest of seaweed clinging to his fin. He tried to remove it, but it was no use. "Blast!" he cried. "I've been trying to get rid of this seaweed forever, and it just keeps coming back." He looked at Finny and Shelley. "You too can have the shell. Just get rid of this seaweed, and it's yours." Relieved, Finny and Shelley thanked him and hurried away with the pink shell. They had just earned themselves a wish. Now, Finny had one wish, and only one wish. He wanted to explore the whole ocean and see everything there was to see. He closed his eyes and wished with all his might to see everything. When he opened his eyes, he found himself surrounded by the most beautiful creatures and plants he had ever seen. He swam with playful dolphins, saw majestic whales and colorful parrots. He watched a pod of orcas hunting and saw a seahorse nursery filled with baby seahorses. Finally, exhausted from all the adventure, he wished to return home. When Finny and Shelley returned to the reef, they were greeted by all their friends. They had been worried sick and were so relieved to see them back. Finny and Shelley happily shared their adventures and all the wonders they had seen, and they never forgot the importance of friendship and being careful on adventures. And so, Finny continued to live in his cozy home in the reef. But he never lost his sense of adventure, always remembering the wonders he had seen on his journey. The end.